We're on the lookout for sponsors to join us on our incredible journey with Inspired Change with Gunter. If your organisation cares deeply about meaningful conversations around masculinity, self-development and mental health, we'd love to partner with you. Our podcast has a wonderful, dedicated audience committed to personal growth and positive social change. By sponsoring Inspired Change with Gunter, your brand will connect with listeners who truly value thoughtful discussion and support initiatives that promote real transformation. We're incredibly proud to be ranked number 1 in Australia and number 5 in the USA on FeedSpot's top men's mental health podcasts. For more information on how to become a sponsor, please reach out to Miranda Spiegner Sapon, our showrunner and executive producer. We'd love to explore how we can work together to inspire change. Now, thank you for your continued support, and let's keep inspiring change together.
You're listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. To guide us through the intricacies and intersections of emotions, relationships, and male identity is renowned psychologist, author, and speaker Gunter Swoboda. This is Inspire Change.
Before I begin the actual podcast, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I work. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. Welcome everybody to another episode of Inspire Change with Gunter.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Inspire Change with Gunter. That's me, I'm your host. So today I want to talk about resentment. And you're probably going, God, he's really digging into negative emotions here. And the answer to that is yes, because I think if we're going to look at emotional regulation, really we need to get on top of those more negative emotions, like resentment. I'm not talking about anger, not talking about grief, not talking about disappointment. I'm talking about resentment, that quiet, chronic build-up that sits in the body, repeats in the mind, and slowly hardens our view of other people and potentially of ourselves. Resentment often looks like a moral stance. It can sound principled, even noble, but underneath it is usually a stalled emotional process. Something that you couldn't say, couldn't ask for, couldn't risk. A boundary that did not get drawn. A grief that never got honoured. A truth you had to swallow because the cost of speaking felt too high. If you want a simple definition for resentment, here it is. Resentment is essentially anger that has nowhere to go, combined with a story that it shouldn't have happened. Now, importantly, resentment is not just a feeling, it's a whole structure. It has 3 moving parts. First, there's the perceived situation. Someone took too much, gave too little, crossed the line, failed you, used you, dismissed you, betrayed a promise, or simply didn't acknowledge you. Second, there is the inhibited expression. You didn't respond in the moment, or you tried and were punished. Or you learned early that asking for what you need will get you mocked, ignored, or abandoned. So the anger does not move, it stays. And third, there is a moral accounting. The mind starts keeping a ledger. I did this for you. You owe me. I showed up. You didn't. I carried the load. You took the credit. Now that ledger becomes the identity of the wound. And here, folks, is the central tragedy. Resentment is often a protest against helplessness. It is the psyche saying this mattered and or I deserved better, but without a clear path to agency. Resentment is also a substitute for mourning. When you cannot bear the sadness of what you did not get, resentment offers the harder emotion. It gives you a sense of strength, but it's borrowed strength because ultimately it costs you. So resentment shows up in a predictable way, but it will disguise itself as common sense. So here are some cognitive manifestations. Resentment repeats. It runs the same scene, the same track. It edits your memory to support the prosecution. The mind, in a sense, becomes a courtroom. You rehearse what you should have said. You prepare your closing argument. You imagine the moment they finally understand, except they really do because this courtroom is private. It's not a public domain. Resentment also polarizes perception. People become the one who did this to me. Complexity, nuances collapse. You also stop seeing the whole person. You only see the wound. And resentment has a distinctive flavor, righteousness. That sense of I am justified. Now, sometimes you are. But justification alone does not heal. So there's also behavioral manifestations. Resentment leaks. It becomes sarcasm, withdrawal, passive resistance, passive hostility, delayed replies, forgetting in inverted commas. Small acts of sabotage or a chronic coolness that confuses the other person. It can also lead to overfunctioning, and this one really matters because some people resent because they keep doing what they do not want to do. They say yes when they actually mean no, then hate the other person for accepting the yes. That is not cruelty. That is a failed boundary. In relationships, resentment often becomes scorekeeping. Not just about chores or money or effort, but about who cares more, who sacrificed more, who compromised more. When you start tracking love like a spreadsheet, intimacy dries up. We become bankrupt. So there's also the somatic manifestations. Resentment lives in the body. Tight jaw, chronic shoulder tension, that heaviness in the chest, a low-grade irritability where anything can trigger the fuse. Sleep that is slightly off. A tendency to scan for threats and a sense that you are carrying something. If you want an honest indicator, ask, when I think about this person or this situation, what happens in my body within 5 seconds? Resentment's quick, and the body knows. So what about clinical and existential manifestations? Because they're there. Resentment is a meaning problem. It can quietly distort your sense of reality. You start believing the world is unfair in a personalized way. Why does this always happen to me? You begin also to feel unseen as a default. Over time, resentment can flatten out joy. It makes gratitude feel naive, and it makes softness feel dangerous. So with men, remember the vulnerability factor. And for many men, resentment becomes a culturally approved emotion because it can be worn as a stoicism. You can call it standards or principles or not tolerating nonsense, but it's still a stuck place. So the question is, why does resentment persist? Well, first of all, it persists because it protects you from vulnerability, at least for a short period of time. If you let go of resentment, you may have to face grief, longing, tenderness, disappointment, or your own part in what happened. There's another payoff. It provides identity. Some people do not know who they are without the wound. The resentment becomes a coherent narrative. I am the one who was wronged. Now, that story can sort of feel stabilizing, even though it's corrosive. And in the end, it doesn't stabilize anything. The third payoff is that it preserves the relationship in a distorted way. This is counterintuitive. Sometimes resentment is how we keep someone close without risking honesty. We stay connected through anger. We stay linked through the grievance. If we stopped resenting, we might have to decide, do I confront, repair, or leave? So the question now is, how do I let resentment go? Obviously, it's not healthy. Now, letting go does not mean excusing. It doesn't mean pretending it was okay. It doesn't mean reconciliation either. It means releasing the internal captivity. You have jailed yourself. I'm going to give you some steps, and I want you to treat them as a sequence, not a menu. So the first step is name the real injury precisely. Not, they disrespected me. That's too vague. Try, when you promised X and then did Y, I felt abandoned and I stopped trusting you. Or when I took the extra workload for a month and no one acknowledged it, I felt used and invisible. Precision empowers. Vague statements create long-term resentment. Specific resentment can be processed. Step 2, identify what you wanted but did not ask for or did not receive. Resentment often covers a simple unmet need. Acknowledgement, fairness, rest, loyalty, protection, reassurance, reciprocity, or consideration. Ask yourself, what was I hoping would happen? What did I need that I didn't get? Now, in step 3, you've got to begin to own your agency where it exists. It's not self-blame, it's maturity, it's adulthood. Ask yourself, where did I betray myself? Did you not speak? Did you get into people-pleasing? Did you avoid the conflict that might be there? Did you accept terms you hated? Did you stay too long? Did you keep giving because it made you feel needed? Resentment reduces when you reclaim your part, because your part is where your power lives. That's where you're empowered. That's your agency. Step 4, decide what the resentment is asking you to do now. Resentment is often a delayed reaction. It's the psyche saying, set a boundary, have the conversation, grieve the loss, renegotiate, repair, or leave. Sometimes the action's internal. Stop trying to get blood from a stone. Stop waiting for the apology that will never come. Stop waiting for your partner to change because you told them to. Stop seeking recognition from a person who just can't give it. Step 5, have the clean conversation, or write the unsent truth. If a conversation is possible and safe, make it behavioural and present focused. I'd like to talk to you about something that's been sitting in me. When I felt X, when Y happened, I wanted this to go forward? Are you willing? So let me rephrase that a little bit more clearly. I felt X when Y happened. So, for example, I felt upset when you didn't acknowledge. I want to have a conversation about that to move forward. Are you willing? If a conversation is not possible, you still need expression. So, for example, write that unsent letter or email. Say the truth plainly. Then write what you will do to protect yourself now. Okay, so it's got nothing to do with the other person at this point, it's you. Step 6, grieve what you needed and you didn't get. And this is where a lot of people bail out. Resentment is a guard dog at the gate of grief. Best way to look at it. If you let the guard dog rest, grief will rise. Let it. Grief is cleansing. Resentment isn't. Step 7, practice release as a bodily act. Remember that resentment is somatic, and release is not just a mental cognitive process. You can use your breath, movement, imagery. When I was working with groups, we might use psychodrama or breath work or an empty chair. Right? And the final step, forgiveness, if it at all comes, and this is optional. Forgiveness can be genuine, but it shouldn't be forced. Some things are forgiven, some things are integrated without forgiveness, and some things are all about simply having freedom and not a moral performance. So resentment is understandable. It often begins as self-protection, but it becomes a lifestyle. It will shrink your life. The way out is not denial. Keep that in mind very, very clearly. It's precision, it's agency, it's grief, and a clear forward decision. Now, if this has touched you in any way, if it's something real for you, take it seriously. Resentment is really about the past alone. It's also about how you're living now. Now, remember, I talked about the issue about people pleasing, and that's particularly important. Our culture fosters that. You know, it reduces our autonomy, it reduces our agency, and it leaves us holding a bucket of shit. Dump it. Dump the bucket. Okay, so until the next session, this is me signing off. Please consider the work. And for those of you who want to continue with the work, please go to my Patreon site, and there you'll find an in-depth exercise that you can pursue, right? That's about 30 to 45 minutes long, but I'll give you the outline if you go there. Until next time, this is me signing off.
You know, on this show, we talk a lot about living with purpose, slowing down, paying attention, and being intentional about the choices we make every day. Because when we simplify the noise around us, we can better hear what really matters. Empathy, connection, and showing up as the best version of ourselves. That's why I'm genuinely pleased to welcome our newest sponsor, Distill Union. Their philosophy aligns beautifully with what we do here. Distill Union creates slick, thoughtfully designed essentials, wallets, key organizers, phone cases, all built with a less is more approach. Their Wally wallets, Ferris key organizers, these are everyday tools that make life easier, cleaner, and calmer. In that simplicity, there's space for clarity. There's space for change. As a thank you to our Inspire Change community, they're offering 20% off any product with the promo code Inspire Change. Have a look. Try them out and see how simplifying your day can open the door to something deeper. Visit distillunion.com and enjoy 20% off any product with the promo code INSPIRECHANGE. That's distillunion.com with promo code INSPIRECHANGE to check out.
Hello to all our listeners. We thank you for tuning in and promoting positive social change. This makes you a part of Gunter's efforts in transforming not only men's lives, but lives in general, and we are grateful you have joined us. This week, we would like to share our gratitude with our listeners in Belgium. You made it to number 8 on our global listeners list. A special thanks to listeners in Brussels and Bruges for making it happen. And from the USA's top 10 listeners list, we want to appreciate Illinois, giving a special shout out to Chicago, Bartlett, Hoffman Estates, Addison, Elk Grove Village, and Schaumburg for bringing Illinois all the way to number 5. Congratulations, Belgium and Illinois. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we appreciate your efforts to support positive social change. I, Devonna Prinzi, the co-executive producer, and our showrunner, Miranda Spigner-Sapone, sincerely thank you and ask that you please take the time to like, follow, subscribe, and share, as your efforts make a difference to everyone here at Inspire Change with Gunter. Please remember, if you want to share your story of social change, feel free to reach out to the show directly. Please see the show notes for our contact information. As always, thank you to each and every one of our listeners, and most importantly, please keep inspiring positive social change.
Love to hear from you. And if you're interested, please check out my work on www.gunterswoboda.com or www.goodmengreat.com.
Thank you for listening to Inspire Change, a broadcast that strives to educate, motivate, and empower men to challenge traditions of masculinity. For more information on the Making Good Men Great movement, or for individual or group coaching sessions with Gunter, visit goodmengreat.com.